these are the opponents that I look to fight. I think you're only as good as the champions that you beat.
You know, this is a guy that I think his time has come and gone. This is, you know, time for me to step in there and show the world who I am.
I have the power to get it done.
This is a guy that I know that I can go out there and knock out.
My name's Eddie Alvarez. My nickname is the Underground King, and I fight out of Kensington. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, baby. I lived in Philadelphia, but more importantly, I lived in a neighborhood called Kensington. It's where Rocky was filmed. Like growing up, there's boxing gyms or clubs like within a mile radius of each other everywhere. So like I grew up in a really it's in a fighting culture. It would be like in America, Kensington would be considered Dagestan. Everybody fought, everybody understood fighting. Even when we weren't boxing or fighting, we were slap boxing. It was just part of our culture. That was like our football or our baseball. We liked to fight in Kensington. So growing up, I've been in a lot of fights, and then just kind of going out after high school, going out with the wrong crowd. I've been in a number of street fights. So like I tell everyone, I've been in a lot more street fights than I've been in like regulated sanctioned fights in my life. And being in street fights is what kind of drove me to fight professionally. I never lost a street fight, and I truly believed that like 19, 20 years old that I couldn't lose in a fight. Call me crazy or like maybe I was a bit delusional. I just didn't think that if it came to hand-to-hand combat or a fight, full-on fight, that I could lose. And that's why I dove into professional fighting. And it ended up working out well for me. But it was the culture I grew up in. It wasn't anything odd or weird about it. If you went to Kensington in the 90s and in the early 2000s, fighting was just a real prominent part of that area.
My name is Chad Money Mendes. I'm fighting here out of Sacramento, California, Team Alpha Male.
Huge right hand and down goes Fans. Beautifully timed by Mendes.
So I fought in the UFC for a long time. I fought guys like Conor McGregor, Jose Aldo twice, Frankie Edgar, some of the best names in the sport in my division. Been doing this since I was 5 years old. I started wrestling at a very young age, every single year, all the way up through college, graduated, and jumped right into pro fighting the very next day. So this has been a long journey, loving it, and we're here now about to get in there and face a guy like Eddie. You know, going into that first fight, obviously I had no idea what it was going to be like. There was some ideas, talking to teammates that have fought in the past, bare knuckle, and you know, just kind of picking their brains on it. But until you actually get in there and feel it, you know, it's a completely different thing. But I actually really enjoyed it. You know, I wasn't sure if I was going to do another one, you know, mainly because of just, I guess, safety reasons. And, you know, my family, I have a family now, and but God, it was a ton of fun. I enjoyed it. I feel like I'm, you know, built for this, you know, fast, explosive, powerful.
Huge right hand. Fans in trouble and down for the second time in this fight.
You know, short balls to the wall rounds. And I don't know, I just feel like I was kind of made for this. So I wanted to get in there. You know, they talked about a guy like Eddie, and I was extremely excited about that fight. I love that matchup. I've been watching Eddie fight in MMA for years, probably most of his career. Always somebody that, you know, I enjoyed watching, and to be able to step into a ring, especially doing something like this, bare knuckle boxing against a legend like that, you know, is something I was like, sign me up for. You know, both of us have been right at the top of our divisions our entire careers. You know, this is a fight that, in my mind, is what gets me out of bed every day to get in here in the gym and train, man. It excites me, it motivates me. You know, getting in there and being able to beat a guy like Eddie, dude, that's something that my kids will remember for the rest of their lives. I'll remember, you know, and it's something I'm really looking forward to.
I really made a name for myself. I started in Japan. I represented America in a Japanese tournament, and what most would call like the Pride Lightweight Grand Prix. It was the Dream Lightweight Grand Prix at the time. I represented America. I went undefeated in a tournament there. Got myself ranked #2 in the world at lightweight. Came here to America. I won a few local titles, and then I went on to become the Bellator champion. Not once, but twice. I left Bellator as champion. I moved on to the UFC. I became the UFC champion. I'm the first ever to win both the Bellator and UFC championships. No one's ever captured that. I'm the only person to ever do it, and I think I'm going on, I think this year I may be going on 2 decades of fighting. I started when I was 19, and we're going on our 2nd decade right now. I've been doing the same sport for so long that sometimes it gets monotonous. The training camps get monotonous, the movements get monotonous, the diet, everything is exactly the same. It's like Groundhog's Day. So to be able to get involved in a new sport with, it's a lot different training, a different speed, a different pace, and then like learning the sport at the same time. I remember the biggest part of MMA that I loved is in the beginning, I had so much to learn. There's so much I didn't know, and that was a huge part of my excitement. So now with bare knuckle, there's so many small nuances in the sport that I have to learn, that I can call veterans who are bare knuckle guys that I already have, and are gonna reach out to these guys to ask them questions like in this sport. I've been to some events and I can see how things go, but I'm like a little kid again. My eyes are wide open. I have so much more to learn. I've always respected Chad. He's lost to nothing but the greatest fighters on the planet, you know, in Jose Aldo, Frankie Edgar, and Volkanovski. He's only lost to greats. After April 29th, no offense to him, it's one more great guy he lost to. It's no big, no big deal. He's been a storm in bare knuckle. His first fight in bare knuckle was impressive. He put on a hell of a fight. It wasn't a quick one and done. He took some shots, he gave some shots. I respect him. He's fast, he's explosive. We're crossing our T's and dotting our I's and making sure we're fully prepared for the best Chad Mendes there is. So I'm excited.
Yeah, baby. They talked about signing Eddie and wanted to know if that's something that I'd be interested in. I said send the contract right away. That's a guy, again, that motivates me. You know, Eddie's a tough son of a bitch. You know, the dude's been fighting in MMA for years, you know, been around since almost the beginning of it. Eddie's got some big balls coming into this fight, you know. His very first one, you know, me going into that last fight against a pro boxer, you know, obviously it's something, you know, I trained extremely hard for, but had zero idea of what it was actually going to be like in there. And it is different, you know, and for Eddie to come in and take his first bare knuckle fight against a guy like me, I mean, it's pretty ballsy, you know. I think one of the things I took away from that first fight is I would not want to get in there with somebody that hits hard as hell and is fast and explosive, you know. And so, yeah, hats off to Eddie, man. This is gonna be a big one, and that shit hurts when you get hit. So, yeah, hats off to him for sure. Yeah, honestly, I don't know how you could prepare for somebody like myself. You know, obviously not trying to brag and be big-headed here, but man, this is probably the best I've ever felt in my entire career. You know, I've been doing a very specific diet for the last 2 years for health reasons, and you know, I wish I would have known about this throughout my entire UFC career or even wrestling career. I feel tremendous. I feel just so much power, speed, my endurance is so much better.
Yeah, we're building rotational power here, getting ready to throw some big shots. There's going to be a couple that sneak through, so that's what we're doing here. Trying to keep him healthy, get his body ready to throw lots of power.
The reason I think I could beat Chad has less to do with Chad and more to do with me. He's a puzzle to deal with because it's not every day you find a guy who's 5'6" and 165. Usually guys are at 165 or they're 6 foot, they're this and that. So he's a unique body style, a unique athlete, and he poses a lot of threats, you know, as far as punching. He has knockout power, and you know, these are the opponents that I look to fight. I think you're only as good as the champions that you beat. And if you can't put great guys in front of you and beat great guys, then I don't care what your record is. I don't care if you're undefeated. I don't care if you never lost. I think it's about putting great men in front of you and taking care of them and getting it done on fight night.
You know, for me, it's a huge challenge, but man, getting in there and beating a guy like that is something that will just seal my legacy, I feel like. This is a guy that, you know, everybody knows is a tough dude. He's, you know, been in the sport for a long time. He's beaten some of the best. He's been a UFC champion, and that's the challenge I want. That's what motivates me to continue fighting. Look, I've lost to some tough guys in my UFC career, but this isn't the UFC. This is completely different. Again, I feel like I am completely made for this, and a guy like Eddie Alvarez, for me to beat, when I beat him, is going to be one of those legacy dudes that check off the list for sure. You know, this is a guy that I think his time has come and gone. This is, you know, time for me to step in there and show the world who I am. You know, this is a fight that I know I can win. I'm going to get in there and I'm going to knock Eddie out.
I have the power to get it done, maybe the 6 minute mark. I think that's where I can land my shot when things settle down. He's not moving so much. At welterweight, middleweight, and I damn sure got the power to do it at 165. So just one clean shot, that's all it's going to take.
This is a guy that I know that I can go out there and knock out.
More big shots, we might be done. Welcome to Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, Chad Mendes.
Chad, I respect you, but when anybody signs on the dotted line to fight me, I think you have some sort of belief, some sort of delusion that you can beat me. It's my life's mission now to let you know that you were completely wrong, and signing that paper was the worst mistake of your life.
I signed the dotted line, you signed the dotted line too, Eddie. You're going down April 29th.